Welcome to All Things Food. I'm John Woods, and I love to cook, but I cook to love. And today we're talking spatchcock turkey. And I guarantee that after you watch my video today, you'll never want to cook old-fashioned roasted turkey again. First thing I'm going to do before we get started here is I'm going to put gloves on. I always like to use gloves whenever I'm handling any kind of poultry. A couple things we want to notice here about this turkey. It's a 15-pounder. Took us about 3 days to thaw it. We're going to take the first thing we're going to do is take the giblets. You call them giblets or giblets. We're going to take those out of here, out of the cavity. And we're not going to throw those away. We're going to save those because we're going to make a great gravy out of those in another video. You notice here there's a little truss that's in this turkey, and this is used to hold the turkey together. And you want to remove that, especially if it's a plastic one. This usually pops right out, and we'll just kind of discard that into the trash. And we're going to clean up the bird just a little bit before we get ready to spatchcock it. Now, why do we want to take a beautiful turkey like this and spatchcock it, which essentially means we're going to turn it over and we're going to cut out the backbone? Why do we want to do that? A couple really, really good reasons. When we take this backbone out and pop the breast, the chicken's going to flay open. It's going to be wide open. And that does two things. One, it exposes more surface to the seasoning, so we'll be able to season it more than if we just season it on the outside here. And then it's going to expose more surface to the cooking area, whether it's an oven or a grill or a smoker. So you're going to have a more even, a more pronounced cooking of the bird, and it's going to just really change and revolutionize the way you look at poultry the next time that you cook it. So we're going to clean it up a little bit. There's some fat right here. I'm going to cut off with my knife. Throw that over here in our scrap pile, and we're going to save it. And then there's a little thermometer. We're going to remove that because we don't need it at all. No purpose in that, and I've never found that they worked very well. So we're going to find the backbone. There's, of course, that's the breast bone there. We don't want to cut that out. Definitely do not cut out the breastbone. Don't make that mistake. So if you have the turkey here, if it's on its back, the wings are going to point up like that, the legs are going to point up like that, and you know it's on the wrong side. So you want to turn it over so everything, the legs and wings are kind of facing downward. And so the question is, where do you start on this bad boy? I always like to start up at the neck area right there. But what I like to do too, for beginners anyway, is take a chef's knife or any kind of knife and just cut right down the middle of that backbone. And that just helps you identify the backbone and where it is, and there's no question then. I have two tools here. Those are kitchen shears. These are not scissors. These are kitchen shears, and they're heavy duty, and they're made for cutting bones. Now, that's my preferred method. You can also use a good chef's knife and cut down the side. And you're really doing a turkey, you may have to use both of these because the turkey is a whole lot tougher to cut than a chicken. In fact, I'm going to even have a little problem with that when I get down there. This is not always easy to do this, but you can do it, and just be careful doing it. So we're going to get our scissors, and I'm going to start cutting down one side, my right side of the bone. I'm going to stay as close to that bone as I can. Now, as I told you, right when you get in there, it gets a little tougher. You may have to use both hands. We'll cut down there, then I'm going to start over on this side and cut down equal to it. So we're going to just work our way slowly down through here. Right there is really, really tough. And what you can do, if this is hard on you, just take that chef's knife, hold that backbone like that, and cut down like that. And that might make it a little easier. But I tell you what, it's well worth it. It's you don't want to give up on it. There it finally came out. And I'm going to stick it over here, and we're going to save that. That's going to be a wonderful thing for us. We're going to get over here, and right here there's a bone. There's still a little bit of ice in this actually, so we could have actually run some water on it. Right there, we're going to take our knife and cut through that bone right there a little bit. We've cut a little bit down through that breastbone. It was difficult, and usually you can just push down on it like that, almost like you're giving CPR, and break it open. There we go. Now we're moving. I feel a little better about it now. So look how this thing is just flayed open like this. And we're ready to go on to the second step of preparation. I'm feeling it just to make certain I don't have any jagged bones in here that need to be removed. Now sometimes this bone here will pop up and you can take it out. Where do we go from here? Well, there's a step before we actually dry brine this. There is a very important step. We're going to put this in the sink, and I'm going to show you a little trick we're going to do that you're going to be amazed, and I think you're going to want to do this every time you cook a bird this way. We put our turkey in the sink here, and we have our hot boiling water, and we're going to start rendering out. The skin's full of collagen and fat, so we're going to break down the collagen, which is going to help render out the fat of the bird here. This is a great technique, and it's going to tighten up. It's going to take on a yellowish, leathery appearance here. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this pot and go ahead and slowly pour some more on there. There we have it, our scalded bird. We're going to dry the bird a little bit and get all the moisture off of it, because moisture is our enemy here. When you're finished with this, be sure you sanitize everything really, really well. We don't want anyone to get cross-contamination from not doing what we should have done. So the only seasoning we're going to put on this is kosher salt. Do not use iodized salt at all, and that's not a good idea. It's a 15-pound bird, and we want about 1% salt on this bird in order to properly season it. By weight of the salt, that's going to be about 1%. We want to make certain we're very generous with the skin side of it, because we want that to pull the moisture out of that fat, out of the skin. You're going to be amazed what happens here. Pat that in a little bit. We want it to do its thing overnight in the cooler. Turn it over. Do the same on this side. And so that was about 4.5 tablespoons for a 15-pound bird. I have a pan over here, and I have a little wire rack in it. I'm going to put the bird in the pan, skin side up. We want the air to circulate around the bird as much as possible. So we're going to put that on the bottom rack of the refrigerator. Why the bottom rack? Because we don't want any drippings to get down on anything else. We're going to come back in about 24 hours. You're going to notice a real change in the texture and the color of the skin. It'll become yellow, real leathery looking, and that's perfectly fine. That's exactly what we want. See you in about 24 hours. So this is one really ugly bird. And we talked about brining this, and we did dry brine it, and you can see the obvious difference. And I said we were going to do it for 24 hours. Well, I happened to have a little extra time, so we kept it in there for 48 hours, which I think is going to even make it a better turkey. There are a couple things we can do right now. We can leave it just like it is, put it in the oven at 450 degrees, cook it, pull it out, and enjoy it. Some people like to use different kinds of seasonings, and we're going to keep it really simple today. Some folks like thyme, basil, sage. These are all good fresh herbs and aromatics to use. We're not going to do that today. Typically, we could take some butter, stuff it up under the breast and down into the legs here, pats of butter, then take our herbs and push up into that cavity under the skin. And that's a really, really good way to do it. Some folks like to use garlic, but I want this to be, I don't want to overshadow the flavor of the turkey. Plus, we're going to use this turkey for a lot of great leftover ideas, so I don't want to change the flavor profile and affect some of those other things we're going to do with it. So what we're going to do today, the only thing, I have unsalted butter, it's melted. Actually, there's 2 sticks of melted butter here. And I have a syringe, and you can buy these. This is a fancy one. You can buy these at Walmart. A lot of stores, you can order them online, just little plastic ones. But we're going to fill this thing up with butter. That's hot butter. And I'm going to find 1 injection point on the bird. Why do I want to have one injection point? I don't want to cause more penetration in the turkey than I absolutely need to, because as the turkey cooks, wherever there's a penetration point, moisture is going to come out. So we want to minimize the penetration and the loss of moisture. So the first thing I do is I stick it as far down into the breast as I can, and I'm going to inject the butter as I slowly pull the syringe out. And do a little bit, same thing in the thigh there, and then down in the leg. You can see how that's filling up there. And there you have it. That's pretty simple. I don't think I could make it any simpler than that. And it doesn't look pretty, but once we put it in the oven and roast it, it's going to be golden brown. This is going to be so crisp and so delicious. This is really, I think, the very best way to possibly cook a turkey to get the ultimate flavor that you're looking for. I have this water over here, and I have the turkey up off on a screen up off of the bottom of the pan, my roasting pan, and I'm going to pour water in up to the bottom of the screen. Now, when we put this in the oven, obviously that water is going to get very hot. It's going to produce steam. The steam is going to help to cook the bird and to keep it moist. This here is only going to take us about an hour and a half. It's going to cook very quickly. Over here we have some celery and onions and carrots, and we're going to roast these with our turkey. And we save the scraps because that's going to go into our stock, as I said. And I have another video that we're going to have on that. I'm going to take all of this and put it up underneath the turkey. And we're going to roast those vegetables with the turkey, and all those juices are going to drip down on the vegetables. And we're not going to salt these right now. We're going to wait until the very end to salt these. So when you're cooking a turkey or anything, temperature control is so very critical. And we're going to monitor the temperature of the bird with a digital thermometer. So one of the probes I'm going to find that injection point up here that I used for the butter, and I'm going to go down into the middle of the breast here with one probe, and then I'm going to come over here into the thigh area with middle of it with the other probe right down in here. We want to pull the bird when this one here gets to about 150 to 55 degrees, and this one's about 165, and they should come together simultaneously, pretty close to it. It's amazing how it works that way. It needs to be an internal temperature of 165, but if we pull the bird out of the oven at about 155, it's going to continue to cook until it gets to about 165, or maybe even just a slight bit over that, which I'm not too concerned about. And then I have another thermometer that we'll use, digital thermometers that we'll use just to double check our temperatures. I'm going onto the top rack of the oven right in the middle. So my convection oven's on 450 degrees. How long is it going to take? I'm going to check it at about 1 hour and 20 minutes. Your oven's different than mine, so you'll just have to monitor the temperature. Temperature controls, as I said, is very critical at this point. All right, our timer is going off. Man, this is really great. And I can see it in there. You go ahead and we're going to pull it out. Look at all that juice just coming out of that turkey where I pulled that thermometer out of there. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to check it with this thermometer here just to make certain we're safe. I'm going to find a good injection point here. We're close to the 150. I think if we left it in the oven and let it rest a while, we're going to be okay. And always put your thermometer in at least a minimum of 15 seconds. You can see how the temperature's coming on up there. So I'm pretty happy with that. So we put the thermometer in. This is our system of checks and balances. We're looking for internal temperature in the breast of 165. We're right now at 160. We're going to let it rest a few more minutes, and then we'll be ready to cut into it. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have enjoyed this video and have learned something today about cooking a great roasted turkey. And so hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you here on All Things Food.